My name is Sarah Pearson, and I am the Executive Vice President with the Boca Chamber, and you are at our International Business Alliance for February. It's our monthly event that we hold. Thank you all again for being here. This again is a roundtable setting, so keep your cameras on, raise your hand, or even interrupt if you'd like to ask a question in the middle of the presentation. I think Luis is very comfortable with that. I'm excited about this particular presentation because I think, especially right now, we need some direction. I think late in the last year, I don't know about you, but I feel like we've been treading water just to stay afloat. And even if you have a business plan, even if you have the tools, I mean, when was the last time you pulled those tools out of your toolbox to get yourself of right mind again, of being organized and having your, even if you had a business plan, maybe it's time to brush it off. Maybe it's time to recreate a business model. So now is more important than ever. And so I'm excited because I know that we're going to be walking out of here with tools in our toolbox and we can use them. And we're going to walk out of here a little bit more refreshed and ready to take on the world. So I'll stop there and introduce our speaker. So Luis David Ramirez is the president of SCUDO Consulting. He's a mechanical engineer with a graduate level specialization in maintenance management, a master's in business administration, and a master's certificate in business process. Ooh. Sorry, the screen just popped up. Business process management. He's attended executive education programs in marketing, new product development organization and strategy, negotiation and international management in prestigious U.S. universities, such as Stanford, Wharton, Michigan, Thunderbird, and MIT. Yeah, those are pretty prestigious, I must say. He's an extensive professional experience in the corporate world, with the most recent being 17 years as a business owner and management consultant, currently with his firm SCUDO Consulting in areas such as entrepreneurship, business growth, financial evaluations, strategic, commercial, and marketing planning. He's been part of the board of several companies as director and as chairman. In addition to his business activity, he teaches strategic management, operations management, and international business, among other subjects, at graduate levels at Millennia Atlantic University in Doral. He's also been a part of the board of the Venezuelan American Chamber of Commerce of the United States as director, second vice president, first vice president, and president. He's also vice president of the Venezuelan American Alliance and a member of the board of the Hispanic Entrepreneur Initiative. So obviously we have an excellent speaker with us today, and I'm going to pass it right on over to you. Thank you. We're going to unmute you.
Mute myself.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for the introduction. Happy birthday to Mike as well. Thank you for taking the time to share some, because this is going to be discussion. So please, if you have any question, go ahead and ask it. Raise your hand. I might not be able to see it. I don't know. I might get carried away with speaking. So, but Sarah and Chastity might warn me that there is somebody trying to ask a question on the chat or whatnot. So the business model, that's what we're going to be talking about. And how can we use that to manage what we have in front of us? Last year, we had this happening of the virus, the quarantine, and we thought that we were going to be out of it maybe in a few months. No, it's taken almost a year now, and we don't know where we're going with it. So changing our business model is something that might help us a lot. And let's see how. Okay, okay. So we've always said, and whatever you read, any book, 20, 40, 30, 50 years ago, the topic always comes up. We live in an era of risk and stability. That was a phrase from an HBR article in 2011. How valid is it? Now it goes further down in the same article and it says, instead of being really good at doing some particular thing, companies must be really good at learning how to do new things. Do you think that that is a valid current statement that was on in 2011? More than ever. So that's what we have in front of us. Changing times, risk, uncertainty, instability, and we have to deal with it. We don't have anything to add about the impact of the pandemic. We know it because we're at the center of it. We're small business owners, independent professionals delivering service that all have been interrupted by what we have now here, the quarantine, the virus and whatnot. So there's nothing to add about that, but we can still seek and discuss about options that we have as small business owners to deal with the situation that we have now. So let's start by looking into what changes this situation has brought upon us and what is expected to stay around with us for a few more months, we hope, but we don't know. This is an undetermined time that those things are gonna be around. So some people has practiced the sport of making some predictions of what's going to stay around. Let's see some of them that are relevant to us. So Forbes has stated that remote work will continue into 2021. How far into it? The people might get used to it and stay. Other people consider that it is here to stay, the remote work. So it is possible that people will stay working from home with all of the impacts that that brings about. Real estate market is going to get a big hit, and so many other things are going to come up. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce not only confirms what that Forbes and others have said about the remote work, but they also talk about the possibility of companies going and downsizing the salaries for those remote workers. So it is not like a salary for a New York City resident. If you're living in color in the Midwest. So they have been considering that. There is also the need to retrain, reskill, and redeploy workers because this is going to be a new way of work. And we have seen how confinement has been irregular. We sometimes don't know exactly what is enforced, and if we have to stay home, is we can go to restaurants. They're going to close them again. They're not going to close them again, and whatnot. What venues are open or which one are closed? It has gone and come depending on not only on the federal government but also in the regional governments. And have you heard about Spain, Italy? They have gone into full quarantine again and again. So it's very inconsistent. So uncertainty is here with us and seems to be here for a while. But in this environment, we have seen how some players in the market have enjoyed impressive growth, excellent bonanzas. Anybody who's involved in e-commerce, video conference services such as these, medical supply, cleaning products, TV streaming, delivery service, liquor stores and producers, all of those are companies that have enjoyed a growth, impressive growth in their sales in these last 11 months. And some others have also taken advantage of great opportunities that have been presented to them by the situation. So chemical companies that have switched to producing sanitizing products, liquor producers as well. We bought a few bottles of some alcohol produced by American vodka producers that smell a little bit like liquor. I don't know what kind of alcohol that is, but still was useful to sanitize our hands and so on. Sign companies, they switch from making signs to helping business with COVID signage, like internal signage in this case, but even making workplace more secure by building partitions in those places, in restaurants as well. That is not a sign, but they're using their abilities, their capabilities to enter that different market. And any type of business riding the wave of government purchasing PPE, personal protection equipment, masks, gloves, and that kind of things. those business, even companies that were air conditioner repair centers, they entered the rode the wave of the government buying PPE. So all of those companies have enjoyed by doing something different from what they were doing. So those are the ones who pivoted. Paying attention to this last group of companies that we mentioned, what they did is they redefined the production capabilities. They reused for making things different. They took advantage of their abilities or competencies to make important changes. So logistics companies importing PPE material, procuring those material wherever they were available, because that was a very hard work to do, taking into account that everybody was after the same merchandise. So what did they do? They pivoted, they changed. Some of these companies might have been really good at doing some particular thing, as we mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, and they were pushed to react. But there were others that might have been really good at learning how to do new things. And that is what we are going to discuss today. How can we get good at doing something new? How can we get good learners to do something new? So what is a pivot? A pivot is the action of turning around. I'm sorry, I was interrupted. The action of turning around a point. So when you pivot, let's say in basketball, a player pivots, keeping one foot in place while with the other rotates the body to change direction, to deceive the opponent. And that is what we are going to try to do when we pivot in our business, keeping one foot in place when changing something else. So it is shifting an essential part of our business model while keeping the others in place. But that is something that we have to be careful, because keep changing one thing or some components of our business model will have some impact in the other components. And we have to keep a whole picture, a broad picture of our business model. And this often includes drastically changing parts of the company. But what is a business model then? I mean, we might have different definitions of a business model. Let's see what the academic definition of the business model is. It is basically the rationale, the way companies create, deliver, and capture value. So the business revolves around the value that we create for our customers, the way we deliver that value to our customers, and the way we capture value for our company, our stakeholders. So there are several tools that we can use to define, analyze, and in general, work our business model, define it. I will refer to one of those that has been around for about 10 years, and it has been gaining popularity along the last 10 years. It was designed, created by a group of researchers from Switzerland. And the book, it's available, it's a very nice book to read. It's called Business Model Generation. And that tool is a business model canvas. The business model canvas is a visual tool, interactive tool that will allow a team of people that is working in a business to start working in defining or redefining the business model of their company. And that tool that's on the table, the canvas, looks something like this. That is actually a 3D depiction of it. We will see a regular depiction of it. So the business model canvas tells us that the business model of any business should consider 9 components to work the business model. And those 9 components are, what is it that we are going to propose or present to our customers? Let me change here to a pointer, okay. What is it that we are proposing? What is the value proposition to our customers? Who are the customers? How are we going to deliver those products? How are we going to make those products reachable to our customers? How am I going to feed the relationship with those customers? And how am I going to capture value from those customers for the company? That is the revenue stream. So value proposition, channels, customer segments, customer relationships, and revenue model. On the other side, I'm talking about other side because at the left of it, we have the enablers, the key activities that I should execute to be able to deliver that value proposition to our customers, the key resources that I need for that, the key partners, and the cost structure that we will incur in delivering that value proposition. That is, in a nutshell, what a business model is, the definition of all those 9 components. There is an overarching component to this, which is the mindset. The mindset is sort of the thing that holds all of those together, all of those 9 components together. And the mindset is in the mind of the entrepreneur, in the mind of the team of executives that is taking that business further. So let's see how it works. This is a 2D depiction of the business model. You can see here how the mindset involved the entire business model. And we have the 9 components: the value proposition, the customer segment, customer relationship, channels, revenue streams, key activities, key resources, partners, and structure. It is graphical because the exercise is putting that it's a poster on the wall, poster on the table, or just a digital image like the one we have here, and we start pasting Post-it notes. Like defining, in this case, let's say this company may have 3 different business segments. The colors that I'm using are not capricious. The guide is to use one different color for each customer segment. So 3 customer segments to whom I'm going to offer this list of products or services. And the relation comes with the colors of the stickers, of the Post-it notes. And I will define the ways I'm going to relate to each one of those customer services and the customer segments, and the way I'm going to deliver those products to those segments. How am I going to capture value from them, the revenue streams that I'm going to be generating, and then the enabling part, the key activities, key resources, key partners, and the cost structure. When we have that picture in front of us, when we have gone through the interactive exercise, the teamwork of putting those notes, of moving them around, of eliminating some of them, or adding some of those notes there, we all will have a clearer picture of how our business model works and how each one of those 9 components of our business model interact with the rest of them. And the dynamic of the business will be seen through that canvas. It's a very powerful tool. We commonly, when we work this with our entrepreneurs, not far into it, maybe 30% into it, the people start saying, oh, I see it now. Or wow, I didn't see that before. Because that's very powerful visual tool to help you do that. This is the business model of UberEats. I'm not gonna go over it, but you can see how Uber defined his customer segments. In this case are hungry people who don't want to or can't cook. Businesses that prepare food but don't have delivery guy or online ordering. And owners of cars and bikes were wanting to make extra money. So those are the customer segments. Here you have the value proposition for them. But this is how it is seen. Simple for such a large company, and that is the power of it. We have a simple, visual, graphical, and interactive tool to work with our team. But competitiveness is based now and every day more on business model. We tend to think of whenever you hear something that, oh, we have a great innovation in the market. And immediately what we think is something coming from a very high-tech laboratory. So happens that some of the best known recent success stories, some of the biggest companies in the environment now, such as Uber, Airbnb, Sabos, and Apple, particularly in music. Those companies have, yes, been enabled by technology, but their success stories are based on business model innovation. So they changed the business model by using the technology, but that was not a technology put together by them. So what was the technology that Uber invented? Maybe some algorithm that is enabling technology. But the change was the business model, the way they used those 9 components to come up with a great idea, with an innovative service, with a disrupting service. The big players know that technology and product innovations are important, but they also know that the competition is every day based more on business model innovation than on anything else. Now, how can we use this? Okay, start by preparing with the people who works with you, with your executive team, with your partners, how your business model works using a tool such as this Canvas. Or you can use any other graphical tool that you can read around. I mean, you can find maybe 4 different tools. We love the business model Canvas done by this Swiss because it's very powerful. We think it's very flexible too. By doing that, your team is going to gain incredible insights on how your current model, your business today works. The dynamics of those 9 components will become clear to all of you. Paste that canvas on the wall and sit in front of it. Start looking at it and discuss what's on it, right? What is it that in the current environment is not valid anymore? What can I see that is ready for a big change on that, on those Post-it notes that are there? And the reason that we use Post-it notes or any sticky notes is that they allow to change, to move around, to discard or add easily. So sit in front of those canvases and start discussing what you can do with it. Now that you understand the dynamic of those 9 components that you have in there. The main component, the mindset, is the one that is sitting in front of the canvas. That's you. While in the discussion, start, paste another Post-it by it or put it on the table and start a new one next to the current, removing, pasting, or moving items as the discussion progresses. So you're building a new business model starting from the one that you have pasted on the wall. While you're doing that, ask yourself questions such as these. Can we still serve the customers that we have now? Have their needs changed? Can we still provide value to them? Can we provide value to a different segments who have a new set of needs? Remember, the needs of our current customers have changed, but it might so happen that we are not able to serve those new needs, but there will be other people that we might be able to serve. And if we change the people that we're serving, is what is called a customer segment pivot. And that might be, an example of that is those IT companies that were serving businesses are now maybe automating households, turning those households into smart houses. So that is a customer segment. It's not the same to serve the companies, the business segment, as serving the household owners. Or business travelers hotels. Those are having a hard time. Business travel hotels are going to suffer a lot, not only now, but in the future. Because one of the things that's going to happen is business travel. Now it is not happening or happening very little. It will still happen very little in the future. So business travelers hotels will have to make a shift from serving that segment to serving any other segment, maybe the leisure traveler. Now, does my revenue model remain viable still in today's? The revenue model is how we capture value or monetize what we offer to the customers. Are there new ways to capture revenue in exchange for what I offer them? Are these new ways a better fit for the current environment? Some of those ways are asset sale. I sell you this item. Usage fees. You pay me for using what I'm offering you. Pay subscriptions. The leasing business, the licensing business, the brokerage business. Advertising, such as the social media. Their business is based on advertising. So whatever you're using, one of those or some other, ask yourself if you can use a different one, better fit for the current environment. That is a revenue model pivot. Like that we just heard from a university that is not charging, is being founded to not charge any tuition to the students, but they are going to have the students work on consulting for businesses, and that's a way those students are going to pay to the university for their tuition. So in this case, it's a multi-sided kind of business in which they not only have the students as customers, but the customers of the consulting they're offering to, as well as customers. So that is a revenue model pivot in the case of the university. Are there new needs in new market segments that we can serve having our current capabilities? That is called a product segment pivot. We are changing not only the product, but also the segment that we're serving. It's like Google going into education support. I didn't know Google had a learning management system. They didn't. I didn't hear about it any time before. But that's what I'm using now at Millennium Atlantic University. I'm using Google Classroom, a new product. They use the Google Meets. Google Hangouts was the name of the video conference platform. Now it is called Google Meets, and it's part of the Google Classroom platform. The boom of new video conference services, this what we're using today. Chemical companies producing sanitizers, and textiles companies producing face coverings. Those are product segment type of pivot. Do my products remain relevant? I mean, what I'm manufacturing today is still relevant for the market as a whole, the market as a whole. What other things can we offer using my current capabilities? What is it that I can produce that is different using what I have today, or making minor changes to the capabilities of that I have today in my plant or in my service center? That is a product pivot, like the spirits company producing or making sanitizers. The sign companies making office partitions and face shields. So that was a product pivot done by smaller, very small sign companies in the area. Do my channels are still valid and competitive? Can we still deliver the value to our customers the same way we have been using for a long time now? If not, we need to change the channels that we're using, and that is education going online, as an example. Some of the universities are now online because of the social distancing restrictions, but they are working on staying online forever. Some of them are going for the long run online and getting maybe rid of the cost structure that having a place to deliver classes, presential classes entails. Once you have asked yourself and have discussed with your team those questions, and let's use the UberEats model just as a reference, you may say, well, this is what we need to do. This is an idea of what we need to do. Let's change this product. So instead of doing this, we're going to be doing a new thing, whatever that is. That is one new component of my value proposition, and I got rid of another one that I have. Let's change this customer segment, and let's forget about the one that we had here, because it is not something that we can do anymore. And in terms of the revenue model, I'm not going to use the one that was here. I'm going to change this one for this new type of model. So those are the type of things that you have to look into. And you will have to see if what you're doing will make you or will cause changes in all of the other 6 components of this business model. Will your cost structure change? Will you need new resources? Will you have to perform new key activities? To serve this customer service, will you need new partners? So in that way, using this tool, you will have a wholesome view of your business model and the implication of making a change in a customer segment, in your revenue model, in your line of products, or the way you relate to you relate to your customers, the channels you're using, and every other component, so that you, in a more organized and a broader vision of your business model, you can do and make the changes and go ahead and adapt your business much better to the current environment. And this is not only valid for this environment. This, as you can see, is valid for the continually changing and business environment that we have had for the last many years, 40 years, 50 years, which has become more intense, but was extremely accelerated by this new situation that we had in 2020 and 2021. So in summary, we can say that, yes, the business environment has changed. We don't really know how much of this change will stay with us, how much will go away in the next few months, but it has changed, and some of those changes will be permanent. We need to adapt faster than ever, because these kind of things has taught us that this can happen, has already happened, might happen again. So we need a lot of flexibility. Our business model should be the focus of our adaptation. It is not enough to decide to change one of those 9 components. We need to know if those changes are going to affect any other of the components that we have in our business model. It is going to be a great tool for changing and adapting your business to the current environment. Having a visual display of your business model is going to be, I guarantee you, of great help to identify those areas that you need to change and the impact that those changes will have in the entire model. Simple, visual, graphical, and will give you a broad view of your business and how it adapts to the new type of environment. As a final thought, I have to tell you, yes, this situation has gotten very hard on all of us. We have suffered, SCUDO Consulting has suffered, all of your business has suffered. This is a type of situation from which the American economy has been and shown one and again in the last 100 years, that it comes really strong out of this type of situations. And we are the ones, the representative of the small business sectors, that are called to cause that change, to come out stronger from this type of situation. So let's go ahead and do that, all right? So we all together work on that and come out stronger than ever. Let's do it. Thank you very much for your attention. So I don't know if you have any questions. I don't know if there were any questions in the chat. Can you help me with that?
I will, let me put it out. It looks like we have Marisol has a questions. We'll start with Marisol, or they're clapping. Is that waving or clapping?
It was clapping, but I have a question.
Okay.
All right.
It was clapping, Luis. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, more than a question, it's a comment. I always refer to something that Luis says, and every time I talk about business in the US, I mention it because it really touched me when he told me that the US rewards innovation in business, but punishes improvisation. And that really was so key to me to understand, yes, and now more than ever, why the business model is so important, because people are trying to pivot, people are trying to be creative, but unless you do it in a systemic way with processes and using like the business model, then you are going to encounter many, many pitfalls. And my comment was that yesterday I saw this news thing about the Super Bowl and talk about being creative. They commissioned a company in Arizona to print all these thousands and thousands and thousands of fans that are going to be sitting on the empty spaces in the stadium. They call the fans all over the globe to send their pictures. So these are real people cutouts that are going to be sitting on those seats, filling the stadium. So it's very creative, and the mindset of the players is great because they are going to see real people and the cutouts, but you have that feeling of not emptiness. So I believe we can do it, Luis. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for remind me that that comment of how intolerant the American economy is. This is the largest market in the world, the most competitive market in the world. Any company that respects itself wants to be in the American market. And many people come here to do business. This is the foundation of this economy. People from all over the world come into this country to develop new businesses. The sort of thing is that we, at least we Hispanics, come from markets that are not as developed as the American market, and we think that it's going to be the same doing business here as it is doing business in any Latin American market. But the level of competition, the intensity of competition here makes that a big truth. Innovation is very welcome here, but this is very intolerant and penalized strongly the improvisation. That's the reason I'm assuming that's why this is one of the markets in which more new methods, managerial methods, are created because the market needs them. You might not need it when you're by yourself in one small market, but when you face the competition that you face here in the US, you better use the latest tools that the market offers you as management tools. So that's absolutely true. Thank you, Marisol, for bringing that up.
I think Jennifer has a question, and then after that, we'll go to Valentina.
Hi, thank you so much. So I had a lot of things rolled up into one. I took a lot of different notes, so I got a lot out of the presentation. Thank you. So I sort of looked at your canvas as kind of a SWOT analysis for a company, just looking in the mirror and doing their own. You know, a lot of companies do that outwardly, but I kind of looked at it like as an inward SWOT analysis. And I was just wondering, how often do you recommend a company doing the mindset canvas? And do you see the canvas as a living, breathing document that can change? You know, to me, so often, you know, companies put together a strategic plan and they spend a lot of money with the consultant, and then the strategic plan goes in a drawer. So I feel like, you know, part of the reason for having it up is so you can be reminded of it, but also, do you see it as a living, breathing document? And how often do you recommend people sort of really looking at it, because if they need to make an adjustment along the way?
Well, I hear you. That is true. I mean, the business plans tend to end up in a cabinet drawer or on a bookshelf. This is how often. This is what we recommend. Paste it on your wall in your office, and look at it every day, and see how live that business model is. See how valid that business model is, because you might come in one day and find out that one of the components of your business model is outdated because something came up, some new competitor, some new technology, some new service delivered by some competitors. So it is something that you have to look at every day. You might want to cause that discussion with your team quite often. I don't know, whenever you see something that doesn't fit you in your mind anymore, in your business model, and you look at it and you say, this doesn't seem to be in place anymore. Call your team and discuss that. They're familiar already with the business model because they participated with you putting it together. And that is the importance of having other people. I mean, the result of a working teams is much more better than the result that you can achieve by yourself. Bring them up, call them, work with them, take a look. If you have any doubt, if you think that some of those Post-it notes on the canvas is not in place anymore, well, challenge it and see if you can move it, eliminate it, change it, and change something else that is going to be affected by that change. That is simple, but that is continuous exercise. That is how often it is to review it.
All right, Ms. Valentina.
Yes, my question was something very similar to Jen's. So I'm going to rephrase it or change it a little. So you say that you like when the whole team comes together and participate in doing this Canva, which I find very interesting and very helpful because they're very visual and very changing. So when you have a small team, that's very easy. What will happen with a company that have more than 20 team members? What is your, do you have any tips? Do you have any recommendations that you can use with big companies?
You have the two extremes, very large companies and the solopreneurs. Very large companies normally do that with the executive team, the C-suite. Okay, 5, 6 people discussing what will have to change, what will stay. When you are solo, when you go solo in an initiative, when you're by yourself, what we tell our entrepreneurs is once we have finished one exercise with them, we do this in coaching sessions. We start putting it together with the team on the other side of the screen or with the person, the solopreneur on the other side of the screen. What we tell them is, if you're by yourself now, please go out and try to explain that to somebody close to you, brother, sister, your significant one. Try to explain it and discover if you really got it, if you really understand it. And if you don't, come back to us and let's discuss that thing over for you to get it clear.
Wow.
Thank you.
All right, Jonathan has a question.
Oh, first, Luis, thank you so much. A great presentation. Very interesting. I think we all needed to hear that. The last thing you just said was so key. And I've run into it a lot when people are trying to explain what they're doing, there are business ideas. And I go, if you can't explain it to me in an elevator pitch, you can't explain it. We're riding in an elevator, you got 45 seconds or so. If you can't make me understand it, it's too complicated to execute and too complicated to get your audience to understand. But experts have said that I've read that the market has evolved 7 years in just 1 year, right?
Oh boy.
And 7 years, and we're not going back. So when people talk about the new normal, it's going to look a lot of the elements that we're in now. What is the role beyond the executive team or the solopreneur of getting an outside opinion? We're big fans of getting our clients to, I don't know, ask your customers. I don't know, ask your customers what they think of your changes, because they're the ones paying the bills. And what is your role on getting mentors and customers and other people to help steer the course?
Well, mentors such as us, as we act when we're in front of one of our customers, is basically being a guide, being a coach, all right? But the other part that you mentioned is key. Validation of those components of that business model with your customers is fundamental to put that in place. When you put together one of those business models for the first time, mainly, when you do that the first time, you're doing that based on several hypotheses. So you think your customers will be willing to pay you this much or this way. They are willing to pay a subscription to go to your service, or they are willing to rent your goods. Go out and ask them and validate that. So really hit the road and face your customers and ask them. And that is very uncomfortable. For some people, that is not easy to do. That is one of the hardest parts that our entrepreneurs have in front of them. When we say, why don't you go and ask your customers what they think about these? They say, how am I going to do that? In some cases, some of them has 10,000 followers on Instagram. And we say, well, contact them and start by doing that. And if they open the door, why don't you give them a call? And if they open the door even further, why don't you sit face to face with them when it was when it was possible, of course. It is not anymore. But this is the face to face that we're getting now. I'm looking at your face because you get a lot from the way people say things. It's not what only the words, is the body language, is everything. So yes, thank you for bringing that up. When you're making a change, if you're making a change in, let's say, in the revenue model or the product offering that you're doing, you're deciding to change. And if you have customers that you have reachable, go and talk to them. And that's the most one of the most powerful tools that to have a excellent business model, a powerful business model.
Well, thank you very much. I think this hour was absolutely worth every minute of our time. Yeah. I mean, you gave us very clear and precise, you know, again, tools that we can use, and kind of gave us that re-energizing feeling that I think we all need. So this is really a good way to start any year. It's January. Oh no, I guess it's not anymore. It's February. Holy cow. But you know, the beginning of the year, but then couple it with what's been going on. It's just couldn't be more appropriate. So thank you very much. I'm not sure if we can share your slides, but if this is being recorded, so people can watch this. I know I saw a few people trying to take pictures. This is being recorded, and it will be posted on our YouTube channel. And then of course we can share information, contact information as well. So I want to remind everyone, next week is our breakfast, our in-person membership breakfast. We have Delray Medical Center as our speaker, and it is American Heart Month. So wear red if you're coming to that. We follow all of the appropriate social distancing and guidelines. After that, we have a speaker in our government affairs. It'll be a virtual committee meeting talking about workers' comp, which you might be interested in learning if that the rates have gone down for business owners. It's interesting, and to see how COVID is affecting that. And then on this Friday, we have a great speaker, a great topic, and she's always the one we go to when it comes to legal. And that is, as an employer, can you mandate that your employees get the vaccine? And even I don't know that answer. And I've been asked it about 500 times. So we're gonna have a presentation on that. It'll be our Prime, which is somewhat of a roundtable like this is. So it's on Friday morning virtually as well. So we have a lot going on. I appreciate you all being here today. And thank you again, Luis, for your presentation and your knowledge. And we shall see you all at the next Zoom. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Bye.